Happy Saturday, everybody. This is Hondo Carpenter, your Las Vegas Raiders beat writer on SI and the host of the Las Vegas Raiders Insider Podcast. You know it's Saturday when you turn your head and you look and you see this guy is on the Las Vegas Raiders Insider Podcast, the great Johnny Shop. John, I got to get right to this because this is a big deal to me. I am so excited for this John Madden movie, and I'm going to be blunt. I was not when they cast Nicolas Cage. Now, I think Nicolas Cage is an epic actor. So there is nothing about Nick Cage as the actor I don't like. But I thought there's no way he's going to look like John Madden. And then they cut to it. Oh, do you need a break?
No. Sorry.
All right. And
Just
then
making sure dogs are straight here.
okay, and then they show pictures of him, doing the movie, and he looks so much like John. It was astounding. Your thoughts on this movie and leading up to it on expectations?
This is not a small movie. It's a major movie with major actors in it. And one of my neighbors is in it shooting it just the other day. That was actually the first I heard that they were actively shooting it this week in the city of Atlanta. There's a lot of stuff shooting in Atlanta on a regular basis, a lot of yellow signs around that have different words on them for people to park here and get your shuttle there, but you usually don't know which specific project it is. Now we've seen some photos of Cage and of Bale in the roles, and this makes sense because this is easy for Raider fans to remember him as a football coach, easy for football fans or video game fans to remember him just as a figure. But this is a guy that was a coach in a relatively known but not massively popular sport. He does really well in that. He gets on TV and then he absolutely transcends the sport, meaning he goes and reaches outside the sport with the video game action, with the Maddenisms, and with the whole character that he developed. So it really is an amazing American success story. And I don't think a lot of people realize that a film was being made, let alone a major motion picture with good funding, good people working in it. So it's really exciting. And for sure, it's going to look great for the Raiders. There's a lot of people. It's hard to imagine, but there are millions of people that don't know much about John Madden's coaching career, like you've talked about before. They're going to learn more about that, and they're going to learn about really a story that just took off beyond belief. And the next thing you know, John Madden is John Madden. He's got the bus. He's got the TV career. He's living on Pebble Beach. Unbelievable. And to think of all that, where it started, you could never see that story going that way. It should be a movie, and hopefully they make a really good one. I know there's a lot of people trying really hard on it, and it looks like they've got some good backing. This is going to be fun to watch, and it'll also be fun to figure out when they release it. My assumption would be they would not do that without figuring out a good time to release it relative to the NFL schedule. So it's something we'll keep in mind and keep an eye on probably, a year from now.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And I'll tell you another thing that I'm excited about is, you know, how many young people only knew him through the game, didn't even know him as a TV announcer. It's really John Madden 3.0. There's John Madden, the coach, there's John Madden, the announcer, and then there's John Madden, the video game guy. And people don't know how involved he was in the video game and how he wouldn't let his name be on it till certain things were there. Again, I think it's a great story. I'm so excited to watch it just because I'm a football guy and I love the man. I wanted to talk about the Raiders because their draft perspective, they got star power and developmental options, and they really got some smart athletic flyers on some guys. Would you talk about, now that you've had a little time to recap, do it some analyzation, what you thought of the Raiders draft?
A lot of people from a national level looked at the Raiders and they said, not only did they draft smart, but the chances that they took, the flyers that they took later in the draft, they took guys that have an athletic edge, that have something that is outstanding about them, that gives them potential to contribute at the NFL level. Sometimes you see people do really well later in the draft and pull guys out of nowhere, whether it's Terrell Davis or Tom Brady, et cetera. And other times you look and you're like, well, what do they just do? Just waste a pick? I don't think anybody thinks the Raiders wasted any picks. In fact, there's a lot of folks that are looking at, especially what they did later on in the draft. They're like, look, you got the main pieces that are going to instantly contribute to the offense, but they didn't waste any picks. And there's some things that they picked later on that can do quite a bit to produce depth. And at least they've got a shot in some of the guys later in the draft to turn into productive NFL players. I think if you're looking at somebody later in the draft, you're looking for an angle when you take guys. And in this case, I think the consensus is that, hey, the Raiders actually did that. They've got some guys in there who might be able to really do some things. You may not see it right away. It may be a practice squad situation. Then you may see somebody on special teams. But there are more accounts that the Raiders had a successful draft. They start stacking them on each other. And again, you can maybe see a turnaround here for the latter part of the decade.
John, the schedule comes out, and as you know, I have done this for decades. I've got a set of 10 criterion that I use. And I think if everything goes right for the Raiders, their max ceiling is 10. If everything goes wrong, I think 7, and that's within an acceptable range for this team where they are. If there's a obliteration of injuries, and because they're not deep and they're very young, I think 7. So I predicted 9 wins. I think that 7 to 9 window is where they finish. I think it's a very fair window. What were your initial thoughts when you looked?
My initial thoughts probably mirror a lot of folks. When you look at the actual schedule itself, I see two natural sections. You see the divider line. You can make this first divider line that Chiefs game, or you can go ahead and make it the bye week. But the first thing that stood out to me was they've got one division game before that Chiefs game, and obviously they've got the bye week after it. So you can divide the season. So there's Chiefs on the bookend, and then there's the first section, or you can take it to the bye week. But obviously we see that it is backloaded relative to division games. When I looked at it, and people are going to be like, oh, you guys always do this. We don't always do this. We didn't talk about this before. But when I did it, I looked at the upside, I looked at the downside, and I came up with about 10 as an upside. I also probably, like Hondo, came up with the Raiders could have 5 wins at their bye week. That is possible. It's possible they could have as many as 5 wins at the bye week. So I look at kind of the same thing. I didn't really consider the ultimate downside. Maybe that's because I was a little shocked by what happened last year. We all were. I don't think anybody, again, appreciated the difference that Brandon Jacobs' absence would make. They didn't see Devontae Adams quit. They didn't see a whole lot of stuff coming.
Josh Jacobs.
Downside, I when I looked at it, to me, it felt really hard to find them winning less than 6, assuming nothing goes kaboom. And I know that's kind of the NFL's goal is, hey, we want everybody to have a shot to do okay. We want everybody to realistically have a shot to win 10 games. This team's right there, but the fast start is probably more important than ever. It's got to start right away. And if it does, you can see that snowball building. You could see Pete Carroll getting people to rah, 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 and all of a sudden you're flying into that bye week. And if you play competitive with the Chiefs, it's a very, very different looking season on that second part. I like how it breaks up for them. It really, to me, feels bookended by the Chiefs, even though there's the bye week in there. That feels like a whole section of it. It's like Chiefs 1, bye week, Chiefs 2, got this. But before then, that to me, the early stuff is their chance to really get things going.
I agree. Let's talk about the off-field story of the week, and Darren Waller resurfaces.
Yes, Darren Waller in a feature piece is talking about life after football and walking away from something like $30 million. Something like $30 million. Obviously, a lot of the Raider fans know his story. A lot of folks know his story. I didn't know as much about it. He's getting into it. He's talking about, a relatively late in life major growth spurt. All of a sudden, he's an NFL player. And he talked about not really wanting to be a football player, not feeling as much like that came from a kind of a hole that was missing. He felt like football was filling a hole. Now he wants to get into music, which is a tough thing to make some money at, but wants that to come from a whole other side of him. come from an internal place, a happy place. It's an interesting story. It's not over. As anybody that's familiar with what he's been, it's pretty much never over. But this is interesting because it is a guy that walked away from an NFL career that was still active and walked in a very, very different direction. It sounds like he's happy at this time, which is good. But man, this is a major change, and we don't see that too often. At the same time, I should say we haven't seen that too often historically. Things are different now. There were some guys that walked away early in their careers, relatively, from Jim Harbaugh's 49ers before Harbaugh got fired. That took some people aback. I think we're going to start to see some more guys move away sooner than maybe they might. Luke Kuechly, for example. Waller moved away for different reasons, but it's, again, a reminder there's a whole other life off the field. Interesting stuff from Darren Waller, something we'll keep an eye on, and everybody's hoping that he continues to have a successful recovery, and maybe we'll see him in another avenue doing something in the music world.
As the wages rise, I think guys will leave even sooner. I want to talk to you about the NFL. The NFL really kept it safe. And Kansas City finds a home on Christmas Day.
Aren't they pushing for it? Everyone knows what's going on here. Lions, Ford Motor Company, advertising dollars. They locked that spot in on Thanksgiving. As many times as people try to take it away from them, I'm like, come on. Obviously, never moving. The Cowboys, real successful doing that. Now you have the Chiefs. They're not only circling the wagon, they're shooting their gun. They're making it very clear they want to be the Christmas Day team. They got the silly Christmas movie. They got the color red. Now they got another Christmas spot. What they're going to try to do is anchor themselves in that, which is only going to help them try to explode. The Chiefs are on a mission that some of us outside of Kansas City aren't totally grasping. They want to become a national and an international brand of excellence. They want their reach to be far and wide. They want to build a little city around Arrowhead. They want to plant their flag on Christmas Day. It looks to me like the NFL, if that's not going to be the case, they're going to have to get them off the schedule pretty quickly, because right now all signs lead towards the Chiefs are going to play a Christmas Day game nearly every season. This is a well-timed move by them. I'm not sure if it's the best thing or not for the NFL, but I know this, notoriety-wise, that Chiefs franchise has made by far the biggest jump of any other NFL franchise in at least the recent times, with the great success. And you know what? Who knows? They might be in that spot again, playing later, playing in another Super Bowl. If they do, it would be pretty hard to pull them out of that, because once again, I expect these Christmas Day ratings to be bigger and bigger, because right now the fans of this sport, they've told us, we will take about as much NFL football as you will give us. And until something changes, the Chiefs are getting about as many eyeballs as anybody when it comes to TV viewers.
The NFL went after the NBA and made a statement on Christmas. And you and I both noticed when the schedule came out, they are now going after college football. I thought that was very fascinating. I'd like your opinion on it.
This is the problem of college pro football. You want to be college pro? You want to run with the big guys? That's fine. We're going to do our thing. The NFL's got to take care of the NFL. As much as we love college football, as much as we're a little bit leery, but continuing to enjoy college pro football right now, though it doesn't sit too well, that's their problem. They got a mess. They can't control themselves. They got an undisciplined, unorganized sport. We're going to try this playoffs, and some guy down here from this conference pulling this way and that way. The NFL's already organized, baby. They already got it straight up the middle. And many of their fans don't care about college football, and they don't care about college pro football, which is what it is now. So you want to run your little playoff games with whatever, and that's fine. You go get your audience. We're going to play whoever we want as the NFL on, I think it is December 20th. And you know why? Because we're the NFL and we're the big dog here, and we can do what we want. We will do what we want. We'll take care of our business. You guys take care of your business. Mistake by college pro football. They need to get away from the NFL as quick as they can, because unlike the NFL, they are really, really reliant on every single playoff game when it comes to viewers. Their advertising dollars are not as strong. They're not as established. They're not as consistent. They're not as big as the NFL. All they're going to do by going up against the NFL at all is get chomped like that old Pac-Man with those little white things on the video game that y'all were playing in the 80s.
Last thing I want to talk about is there's a new set of Jordan rules, and they have to do with Bill Belichick. This is
Is
hilarious to me.
there?
I'd love your.
Well, we were talking about this a while back, and this is a strange story. Big line in the sand with the CBS Sunday morning interview, and it's not getting more settled from here. It looks like it's getting more unsettled. In the back of my head, moving to the front of my head, is whether this issue, whether this off-field relationship and how entangled it is with the University of North Carolina football, is this going to cost Bill Belichick an opportunity to come back to the NFL as soon as this summer or as soon as this fall or winter? Is this going to be a problem? I think there probably is a chance that it may be for some franchises that don't want anything to do with this. Others probably don't care at all because they're like, we are not college pro football. We really don't care. But we also haven't seen the end of this story. Is this going to spill into some bad public embarrassment on live TV or at a North Carolina event or function? I don't know. This is just bizarre. We talked about it from the front before it really got going. We're going to have to keep talking about it because we've been on it the whole time. This is a bizarre story, and I now wonder if it threatens the possible return of Bill Belichick. To me, it looks loud and clear like he wanted to be back in the NFL, and as we talked about, simply got impatient and ran out. Not sure that was the best idea. I don't think he's as good an NFL candidate right now as he was. He may be stuck at North Carolina, and I don't buy into the idea that he's going to be gung-ho to get ready to play the University of Richmond, for example.
It'll be interesting. John, tell everybody where to find you on social media, please.
At JP Spartan, still out there, still on X, still living the experience. It's the off season. There's going to be plenty to keep an eye on. Everybody knows activities have already begun. There's still free agents out there. Now everybody's got the schedule. Let's just take 2 seconds on the schedule. You turn it into a whole big TV show. But how about the new wrinkle? How about every single team basically being asked to do some kind of a video with video games or something else like this to introduce their schedule? Fans love that. And I also saw the coolest thing from Nashville, where they went out on Broadway and asked people to identify the NFL logos. And it was a hilarious line of combinations. Some people had the Florida Atlanta Dolphins, and they had the Cowboys, it was actually the Colts. It was funny because as big as the NFL is, the single most popular form of entertainment in the country, still a really big country. So if you want to see some funny stuff about the schedule reveal, go check out the video for Broadway where people are trying to name what NFL team it is, and they got them so remarkably wrong, except they're Tennessee Titans. Somehow they got that one right. At the same time, all those 32, including the Raiders, including some of the, I think the 49ers had like an Oregon Trail one. If you remember the Apple One computer, you old folks like us out there, that was pretty cool. And it was a new wrinkle. Home run by the NFL to get this much press, this much publicity for simply releasing the schedule for the coming year.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us again today, John. We'll see you soon.